primary ignition.
Hello there, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're watching the Virtual Cantina Network. Ooh. Is there a blue milk around? Can I get something? I'm in a cantina after all. Goodbye there.
Hey, we're live. How you guys
That's
doing?
a solid intro.
And our guest is
There he is.
He was sneaking away,
I
taking
ran
care
away,
of business.
ran away.
No worries. Do whatever you need to do. We'll cover
No,
for
I
you.
went and popped a beer and it fizzed on me.
I could see you in our little thumbnails at the bottom that you were off the camera.
I was like, I went like this one.
Oh
my
no!
God, why did it explode on me?
Oh no!
So now that's in the fridge and I'm cleaning up on here and Tracy's gonna go, why does it smell like beer in here?
And you're gonna go, why does it not smell like beer in here?
What should
Right.
it smell like?
That's how it should be.
Do you know, Tracy?
Oh, that's good.
Look,
We have met Tracy.
I'm 3,000 miles away. I can say that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
safe.
she'll still next time she sees you with her laser eye, she'll go, yeah, she's
Excellent.
nice and all. She's a lovely lady, but boy, get her
she's-
mad. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's
Well,
just me.
maybe she.
Yeah.
You've experienced a bit more than we have. So, anyways,
Yeah.
good to see you, Kevin.
Good to see you guys. Good to be here. Good to have a. How was last week? With the 2-part episode.
It was great. We had Marty
Marty
Matulis, who played Vane, and one of the stunt guys, Nick
Benjamin?
Bensman. Yeah,
Bensman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
they were
Yeah.
both excellent. It was a lot of fun to hear their stories about.
Yeah, there was so many. There was a whole stunt team on the whole team. You
Yeah.
got on as a stunt double for that. Boy, you were working. You were working.
Well, yeah, just in those, in primarily, I guess, the second episode, there was all kinds of craziness, the big fight and everybody.
Right.
Everybody running around and yeah.
Which
It
was
was-
fun was Dickie Beer's daughter, Amy Beers, was on as a stunt player who was
Nice.
in Return of the Jedi with me.
Oh wow.
And Mike Cassidy's son, Mickey Cassidy, played one of the pirates.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
it was neat that the second generation is now coming in and becoming stunt people and doing stuff like that. It was like, wait a minute, it's just when I didn't know that they were coming on, and it was very, very neat to see when that
Right.
was happening.
Cool.
Yeah, I saw Cassidy was
Next
credited.
generation.
Yeah, Mickey Cassidy is. He
Yeah.
was Macaulay Culkin's stunt double back when they were kids.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
So he was a child stunt player.
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
Mike, the whole thing,
That's cool.
because there was a lot of, like in the 80s, 90s, there was a lot of kids things going on,
Mhm.
but there really wasn't a lot of average, small little people being able to play stunt people.
Hmm.
And so he decided to start getting kids involved and teach them stuff. But then the stunt people started saying, maybe this isn't best that the kids we're putting them in harm's
Oh,
way.
true.
So they started frowning on that. And so Mickey made a nice living as a child, and now he can pick and choose what he does now. But
Well,
he was able to, his dad was a stunt player. And so a lot of these kids, just like camera, grips, wardrobe, learn from their parents who are in that field, and then they become in that they've become like apprentices, and
Right.
now they learn the business of whatever it is, the trade that their parents have or they completely change it and they become accountants.
So when are you going to talk your son into
Fair.
starting to follow in the footsteps?
Oh, I tried. We said that he just it wasn't for him. He
Yeah.
he didn't really want to, he would what he'll probably be is become a producer, and he actually already does. In college, he tried out for a play, got the lead, and then the director said, "You have to change your whole schedule." And he goes, "Wait a minute. When I auditioned, you said I don't have to." So he likes the story of, I tried out for a play, I got the lead and turned it down.
It was all his
Keep on
decision.
wanting more.
Yes, and it was his.
Yes.
He's produced different things now, and he's got a new business now. He's kind of in the show business of tech, of startups. He likes to get a startup going, like a movie, and then hand it off to somebody else and let them take it off. So he had Romper Jack, which was male rompers, and
Oh yeah, I remember that was on.
Yeah.
Wasn't that on Shark Tank? Wow, yeah,
He's
that's
played
very
quite
cool.
a few times, and so he's sold his shares in that, and now he's got a new business, which is really called Appealed. So if you are apply for workman's comp insurance and you get denied, he's just starting this out now, and he's trying to help people and the doctors so they get accepted into their insurance for workman's comp, and he wants to start working it with all the different insurances. When people deny the coverage, they have a whole AI letter that he has been working on with his partners, and that will then get you the insurance that you need, so we don't have all this stuff that just happened a couple of last week with CEOs getting killed. So he's trying to say, look, I'm trying to help people, because the whole thing about insurance fraud is that the insurance companies want to deny you insurance.
Yeah,
Well,
so
Insurance is an
pretty slow.
interesting
It is.
field to
It
be
is.
in.
you use AI for good, you know. So
Yes,
before we
exactly.
get Judgment Day, at least let us help us out some.
Exactly.
Yeah, for
Everybody, that's why we work hard at our jobs, and we want it so we don't have to sell the house or all our possessions to just get a checkup.
Oh yeah. Well, anyways, we didn't do it like a proper introduction.
Oh,
so
hi.
Let's do a proper introduction.
Kevin.
no one knows who I
I'm
am.
here with a couple of pals from the channel here, Dave and Bryce, and our guest tonight, the amazing Kevin Thompson, who had a role in or a
Back behind the camera thing, I
behind the
worked with all
scenes
the kids
role.
behind the scenes, because I was actually more valuable behind the scenes. They had me as an alien, and then they went, you know what? We can't afford you to be an alien. We can't. It was just it was an extra in the big fight scenes and stuff. And they said, no, we need you to work with the kids. And so
there you go. So
all
Dialect
right, so,
Coach, huh?
and, Dialogue Coach with for Ravi, for Robert. And Robert's character was very interesting because you had Robert in an outfit. He never wore the elephant head. That was Casey Barrowman,
Oh wow.
another little person who was just
Okay.
credited as either photo double or performance artist. But she did, when you watch her on screen, that's her. That's not Robert. Robert is more of the voice, and they kind of try and make the CGI face of the elephant look like Robert.
Right.
But most of
So are they both like acting through the scenes? Like he'll do it to get his facial reactions, and then she'll do it to
for placement.
like
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yes.
It was really interesting. Then you had puppeteers who did Grogu from Mandalorian,
Right.
who were the
Dawn and
puppeteers
friends.
for
Tamara.
Robert. Yeah.
Don and Tamara, who we've had on the show before, and actually I saw both of them at the El Capitan for the first 2 episodes of this, which was so much fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing your photo of that.
They what was I gonna say? So yeah, I saw he wore a rig with like cameras on it to capture his facial expressions to be able to transfer that over to Neil's actual CG
face when they CGI'd it in post production.
Right.
It was just an elephant with some not motion capture, but just some RC units that were moving the eyes,
Right,
the
simple servos
ears.
or whatever.
Yeah, so simple servos, but they're much crazier now. When I've done servos with like Spaced Invaders, we had 16 servos in the head, and I think this one was like 36 servos.
Oh wow!
So these guys were all
I would really imagine there's a character in this episode, the not bartender, or it wasn't the last episode as well.
Yeah.
Anyways, the server guy, he's got that whole big head.
That's a very big head, and then the guy, the beef guy, was even huger. That guy made the bartender or server, the cook, look small.
Right. I love that. That's actually his name is Beef.
Yes, that's the character.
It's Beef. Awesome.
Yeah, Beef. Yeah, kind of reminds you of Porky's or something.
Oh yeah, that's very true. I didn't even think of that. Wow, that's got to be
different.
Let's hope so. That's got to be deliberate.
It's a kid show.
Yeah, true.
Well, what's fun is, I don't know if anybody caught in the first 2 episodes that scene from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
But it was they switched it where they had Ravi or Wim and Fern.
Right.
And Fern is playing the Charlie Sheen role.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that was hilarious. They're really, both the producers are children of the 80s, and they love to just borrow from these scenes and put it in there as Easter eggs and see who catches them.
Yeah.
So is that how you're dialogue coaching them? You're sitting there and it's like, here, watch Ferris Bueller.
No, it's more of getting the dialogue so they know it per what they're saying. You know, just you drop the noun here, you drop something here, give it a little bit more, because when kids they're coming out of math.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing their math problems.
Oh, right.
They're English. They're doing history. And so now you have to tune them right into where we are at this scene. We worked before with the directors, before the crew came in, and we would break down the scene, and we would start working the scene out right then. Then the camera crew would come in. The kids would come in a little bit and see what we were doing, and then they would go to school, get ready for makeup and all that type of things. We would then light the scene with the camera crew, and then the kids would come in and do the scene, try and get them back into where we're at, what's going on right now, and go to that. And then we do that part of the scene, and then they would go back to school. Then we would work out and do the scene again with my team, and we would work the scene again with the next part of the scene. Then they would light that part, and the kids would come back in until their time ran out.
Yeah, they have a limited time on
set. So you're helping them be efficient in the time that they can be on set.
You want to be able to let them screw around and have fun, because we are in the land of make believe.
Yeah, and it's Star Wars.
It has to be. Yeah, it is Star Wars, and a lot of the things they're seeing, they're not seeing. So when you see all those graphics, all those different things, we're seeing them sometimes for the first time, going, "Whoa, this isn't what it looked like on set."
Oh, right. How much, speaking of set, was there a lot of mostly practical sets or with blue screen, or was there volume style stuff going on?
A lot of volume.
Okay.
Like when we're working on, let's see, the last 2 scenes, whenever that whole space thing was just, there was nothing there. They were just imagining what's there. Did anybody catch the Easter egg of the ship right in the middle? That was I forget what show that's from, but the ship.
There's so many ships.
Is it the ship that looked like the original Macquarie concept for the Falcon?
Yeah.
Nice.
The other,
right
we talked. We talked about this. It was either that or it was the Eagle, correct?
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. And then we'll see some more things of this in the next episode. And so it's people are as they're watching it, they're going, hey, I know that.
Yeah, they're doing
the and so it's,
Leonardo DiCaprio move there.
There's also another really cool ship that's in that scene too.
Yeah, and so
Might
it's
be a little foreshadowing.
a lot of fun Easter
I
egg
heard that
type
one
things, and a lot of bits for the it's basically any adult who's getting mad at watching this. It's like, breathe, take a break, remember you're 8 years old when you
it's the whole
first
thing.
saw everything again. It's just you're 8 to 12 years old, and that's what this is really made for, of these kids. You've got Wim, who's just wants to be a Jedi. You've got Fern, who's basically, she's got a chip on her shoulder.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
big chip on her shoulder, but she's the smart one.
Yeah, she's very smart.
You got KB, who actually is the smart one.
The computer of them, sort of the data.
It's like a whole computer thing that she's on. That we'll find out more in this episode of that type of thing going on with her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's great that the dynamic, and they all kind of have their very own specific kind of personality.
And then Robert's he's the comedian of the group.
Yeah,
he's actually got 2 movies, I think, coming out right now. He's got he's got a Santa Claus one right out now with out. I think it's I don't know if it's out on cable or if it's in the theaters. And then he's got another movie coming out now. So he's a very hot commodity in Hollywood.
Oh, do you know which Santa one it was? We were talking with I think it was Nick, who has a part in Red One.
Right,
the one with Dwayne Johnson.
The one with
the Rock. Is he in that one? Wow.
I think he is.
That's cool. That movie looks like a lot of fun.
It's okay. I saw it, and I mean the Rock is probably my least favorite part of that movie.
You are a hard audience, Jeff. You see,
I worked with somebody who didn't have I've never worked with Rock, but I worked with somebody on this show that did a show, and he didn't have a good time with Rock, which is too bad.
Yeah, that is too bad.
Because he seems like such a nice and fun guy, but but I've never worked with him, so I don't know. I can't. I'm just speaking second.
Yeah, what you see versus what you experience can be very different.
Exactly.
Acting.
Yeah, there's an interesting story about The Rock and Hulk Hogan, and how Rock is very peculiar. Like, they practice their moves, and Hulk's like, I don't do that. So it was interesting interview with him, and how they were talking about like the WrestleMania match or whatever they had years ago. So it was an interesting story.
It's improv with physical moves, and I'd like to actually talk to and practice it myself.
Oh yeah. It seems like it could be, you got to really be on your toes, though. You can't like make the wrong movement at a certain point.
Oh no, it's just like
you could be seriously hurt.
Yeah. Well, one of the most common things in like stage fighting with like actors and stuntmen is that a stuntman, when you're swinging at a punch, when you're swinging, a stuntman keeps his feet grounded. And when you naturally swing, you take a step forward and you punch. That's what an actor does many times. So a stuntman won't hurt you. An actor will.
Right.
Because an actor thinks to step forward and punch. And so that's where the stuntman goes, you got me there. The guy's like, oh no, he said, you step. I told you, don't step. So a stuntman is trained not to step forward and make it look close. Yeah,
because most of the time they're not shooting your entire body anyways, right? So that part isn't.
You never know.
Yeah, right. Well, that's crazy.
You never know.
Anyways, hopefully we get some questions for you from the viewers, and everybody can get their
a lot of people Disney on. So just remember, you can go ahead and type your questions in the chat on any service that you're on there, and we will get them all in here. Except for
I'll just keep talking.
and that's
okay too.
Because we love hearing your stories.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yes.
One of my favorite people to just hear keep talking. But we do need to get you want to get Disney Plus queued up and get episode 3 ready to watch and
ready to go.
if you're on the stream here, us four, we need to make sure that the audio is muted so we don't have any Facebook strikes.
Yes, I will put my headphones in right now.
And or put up your subtitles, and then everybody else can watch it the way they normally do on Disney Plus. And Jonathan Notman has chimed in.
Pirate.
Speaking of pirates,
yes.
Bear, Chubray, and Chukatrock.
Hey, Jonathan, how are you? We miss you and your wife. Yeah, come on out to SoCal. I don't know when I'm going to. I'll be at the Hollywood show next month, so that's fun. It just got called for that one, and but that's right here in town.
Yeah, I don't know if I've gone to that show ever, but I've heard about it for a while. But what was I going to say? There was something I was going to say, and I totally lost my train of thought. Anyways.
Oh, there you go, Troy. Troy's got a good question. How much were you keeping secret from us during the family vacation?
Oh, speaking of which,
so
did you hear me say anything?
Exactly.
I do not recall at all.
You know, there was nothing. I talked Jedi. I talked Obi-Wan. I talked Ewok movies. I worked on the show, but I never said anything so that you guys could be surprised. I knew about all these different Easter eggs in there, and it was fun because they took some things from Ewok movie, which was really, really interesting.
That was
the bit with different characters of Teak.
Right,
Teak. They had Teak was basically running all the different runarounds, and we had a guy from Australia, Phil, thinking that Nikki's going to be there. I'm like, no, it's a puppet.
Yeah,
Nikki's not in the show. Oh, I can't wait. I was like, no, Phil, not here.
Yeah,
not here.
It's a smaller version of what I remember Teak being as well.
Yeah. Nikki's not that tall, but it's.
He's like a little monkey size because he jumps up on one of them's shoulders.
Right, exactly.
And I think
that was the proper way that they wanted to do Teak in Ewok 2. But they weren't able to capture that, the emotions that they wanted with Teak and the physicalities of what was going on with Teak. So they had to make it Teak bigger on the whole thing. So
we were getting like vibes that something might be coming up with Teak because they leaned in at D23 and came out with the plush, and then that ended up being in the parks as something you could purchase.
Toy. Everything is a toy.
Right. So they push that marketing ahead of time, get you ready for something that you're not expecting, but maybe kind of feel like might be coming, which is fun to kind of speculate on.
Yeah, it's all about the toys. You know?
Well.
And George started that with the way we're gonna do any marketing on this. You want to do marketing? Knock yourself out.
Yeah,
so we did. And
that was one of the best moves probably he ever made in terms of monetarily, not creatively necessally.
Unless it was a flop, and then he'd have
that's true.
Stuff, and he'd be
that would have been the adverse reaction, but it turned out good, and I was all about those toys back in the late 70s and early 80s. I got a little less I have figures from all 3 of the original trilogy, but it's like I have the majority of the first movie, I have a few less for the second movie and a few less for the third movie because I was aging through Star Wars, starting out at 8 and going to 11 and then 14 when your madness of Ewok craziness happened.
And then all of a sudden there was the Dark Ages.
Yeah, the quiet time.
After 85.
But and the TV stuff was sort of at that point I was like 15 or something, and it wasn't as appealing to me personally. It was something that I got into later, more recently, because it was more nostalgic at that point. And then I'm like, Now I'm 1,000. I got to watch the old stuff just to make sure I'm familiar with it and reminisce and
Yeah, there's a lot of all through all 8 episodes. There's callbacks, and it's fun because you have to watch it and go, wait a minute, to make you watch it again. So,
exactly.
and things of like almost like And next week we have the Daniels, who are the directors.
Right. I've been hearing rumblings about what that may entail.
Right. Well, what I mean by that is that you'll have an episode much like it's not like Everything Everywhere All at Once, not quite like that, but
that would be interesting.
But it is fun that we met them before the world knew who they were, which was fun.
Yeah. You shot this like 2 years ago, right?
2 years ago, and we had you had the strike of everything, and then so you couldn't have them come in for reshoots or anything like that. Plus, there's 1,500 visual effect shots in this movie,
right.
in this whole series. They really pushed the budget on this and that's why it looks so good with all these.
It's incredible.
Very true. That's one of the things that I've loved from the very beginning, is the fact that there's so many different species, and that's one thing I keep harping on about. Andor specifically, is that it was mostly humanoid characters, like 99% or something like that. But that was the whole 80s vibe is what I was sitting in El Capitan watching in the first episode, and I thought to myself, wow, I'm like enthralled and like feeling like the 80s feels of when I was maybe seeing E.T. or something like that in the theater back in the day.
Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
And then we also had John Knoll on set every day of all 8 episodes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was a neat feeling that he was there for that whole time. So,
yes, it does look amazing.
Yeah.
Everything.
It's got the 80s and the modern and even like the modern, the way they've made it looks like 70s space, though. It's like it's kind of futuristic, but it's also very 70s. So
well, they know how to borrow from like old technology elements and things, like the headset that they use when they turn on the ship, and the little before that happens, as the headsets drop. They're not exactly what Han had in this Falcon, but they're of the time, so they fit perfectly into that kind of vibe and that 70s kind of thing.
Ravi or Wim's character is almost like he's a 50s kid with Daniel Boone. I was trying to think of, because he has that thing of having Davy Crockett, and he's got the little. He doesn't really have a hat, but the Jedi are almost like Daniel Boone of that type of era of, I want to be this guy, and they had so much fun back then, and the heroes, exactly like that. I mean, he doesn't think of that there's badness out there.
They're very sheltered, which we're finding out.
Right.
Yeah, I just want to know, like, where are the wrapping paper tubes on AT-AT? They have to have completely pretend lightsabers. Where are the wrapping paper tubes?
Yeah.
It's part of the great work, Dave. It's part of the great work.
Now, on season 2, they'll get those wrapping paper things out.
That's what I was really hoping for.
I'm looking forward to this show being renewed. I'm just going to say it now.
The thing is the kid. By the time the kids,
the kids are going to be 30.
The kids are going to be, adolescent teenagers.
Right.
And it's a whole different thing. So we're going to have other kids for this, but we're going to fall in love with all these kids. So I don't know.
I was really hoping that when we first see Neil in that scene where Wim is going to the bus stop, that when he did this thing with the saber, that it was going to do, a cheap toy version of a lightsaber,
which would have been
and here comes the gotta get it.
That would have been fun.
Click the button. There it is. So that would
we've had fighting Wyatt had a fighting Wyatt had a fighting lightsaber back in like 2007 when they first came out.
Mm-hmm. One of the ones that are designed for sparring or whatever.
Smacking each other. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Me, I wasn't that lucky though. When Star Wars came out, I was 17. So.
You weren't. You were just out of the. I mean, I'm sure it was still
in high school.
fascinating.
I was still enthralled. Like, what is going on here? This is simply amazing.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, because like Jedi was my movie. That was my introduction to prime time with like Ewok crazy. I mean, I think you can see some of the
What's going to happen with our heroes? Well, how are they going to get out of it? Here comes Kevin. Yeehaw!
Yeah.
There we go.
There it is.
Amazing.
One of my many.
Oh, we passed 7 already. I haven't even been paying attention to the time.
It's fine.
Oh,
it's like Spencer's not here. There are no
We're going rogue.
11.
Yes. No, we don't want to do that. We don't want to keep you all
80s
night.
Movie.
And
We're
there you go.
To 11. Oh,
they're coming out with 2. I almost went to a screening of 2 a few months ago, but I didn't get in. I was very sad. But I did see Spinal Tap 2.
Oh.
I did see Rob Reiner because it was a very early screening. So him and a few of the other producers showed up for this screening. And so I was able to get a photo with him on my way back to the car. And
such a nice guy.
Oh, he was very cool.
Yeah.
But I was like standing there going, I wonder if anybody I recognize is going to show up while I was in line. And then here up the escalator, I see Rob's head. So I was like, hold my place, beelined over to say hi and ask him for a photo. So that was very fun.
That's cool.
But yeah, that 211 thing for sure. I hope they do some great fan service in that movie as well. But all right, so everybody get your D+ ready.
Get it all ready, queued up to press all the buttons and the things.
And whenever you're ready, let us know, Kevin, and then we'll start. We'll start the countdown.
Kevin's on.
Bring up a 10-second countdown, and when we get to that countdown, you can hit your play button. So here we go.
And there it goes. And always remember, don't skip anything.
No skipping any of that. Yes. What I find interesting about this show is that they haven't been doing the Disney Plus logo at the very beginning. Whenever I loaded it, jumps right to the show. Oh, really? Okay.
I get the Plus logo.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it's
on this one.
I don't know. It's weird. Okay, well, maybe it's just
right
for
to
me.
Lucasfilm.
Well, I've guess what? I'm in previews.
Buffering. Oh, previews.
Are you in previews?
Oh yeah. We're watching the previously on part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Right now, like it's just the shootout, and
and there's
SN-43's getting shot.
Yep.
Okay.
Nope, he just
Tracy
got zapped.
worked with John on one of his very first movies back in the late '80s called I know it. She told me it, but she's in the other room. It was called Music from Another Room, and he was just a kid
in another room.
Like,
oh wow,
yeah. And so it was fun saying, that I'm working with him now, 30 years later.
Right.
Yeah, this was before I want to say anybody really knew who he was.
I think you guys talked about that in the interview we did at Biggs.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So that will be getting released in a few weeks.
Oh yeah, that'll pop up and we'll see that again.
Okay, that was fun. That was a fun time. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I hope everybody had a good time on that.
Oh yeah, definitely. We like to do it good and fun. Some of these locations are so amazing looking.
Adding more like detail and more richness to the AT-AT and just now we see the city and then there's the
different angles and stuff.
And what is AT-AT?
Exactly. That's the big.
There is that whole underlying thing that we're slowly kind of getting bits of information about.
It's
Yeah,
a
and the
third
mural
world
that's
country.
on the
That's
walls
just
really
a little
interesting.
area that we see.
Right.
We don't know. We don't know what it is, and that's one of the fun things about it is they like to show suburban.
Well, I want to
yes.
sit there and
Yeah,
screenshot
something different.
and like analyze that kind of wall mural behind them and what's going on.
Yeah, that
Right.
that thing gives me a little bit of Sabine's mural vibes in
Oh,
terms of the
100%.
style,
Yeah,
but it's
done.
different.
I've heard other people talk about that it's Treasure Island.
Mm.
Kind of that way, that little bit of a thing. So it's
Yeah, everything sprinkled in. I love the 70s style kind of living room with this sort of sunken
What is it
vibe
now
to it.
on Andor?
Uh-oh, what happened?
Did yours go Andor?
Mine did
No.
not go to Andor.
Oh, okay.
If you want to reset, we just saw the scene with the parents.
Going. Where are they? Where are they? Where are they?
Yeah, and we're hitting
Okay.
the skeleton.
And now the Skeleton Crew logo is up, and it.
Okay. I'll
Yep.
fast forward up to that.
So yeah, now we're back to the pirate port here with going into the cell.
And you see the cool thing about like, okay, this part is up here and this part is down here with like some sort of force field.
Yeah, different types of force fields.
Yes. I don't know what. Oh, it's a special look. That's why.
Uh-oh, did you load the wrong thing?
I load the wrong thing.
All right, well.
And I know what's going on the whole. I watched it already.
I
Well, let's hope so. It's been out for a few days, so
Yeah.
we all jumped right on it when it dropped.
Yeah.
So at 6:00 on Tuesday, we were all ready to dive in and enjoy it, and then come back and talk about it in our.
Any other questions going on of what's going on?
Oh, there was one from.
Yeah, we got a couple from Jonathan there. Let's look at this one. So,
this cerebral
of all the productions you've worked on, who would you say that you have learned the most from? Either an actor, a stunt coordinator, a director, anybody associated with a production. Who have you learned the most from?
I think it's different from it's like changing jobs and teachers. You learned a lot in first grade. You learned a lot in second grade. You couldn't have taught them in second grade had you not learned it in first grade. My very first stunt coordinator, Hank Wills from Under the Rainbow, taught me a lot. And then Gary Combs from Blade Runner and J.R. Randall from Return of the Jedi. Each one was different. And then Mike Cassidy stunt coordinated both Ewok movies. He was each one gave different things. You have directors you had Ridley Scott sit there, and a lot of people didn't enjoy him on the movie, but he showed that he has a vision, and when you really know your vision, then that is what really what's very important.
Right, he was very kind of. He has
focus. He knows his vision. When you run into a director who doesn't, he says, "Yeah, we'll just work it out," and it's like, sometimes that works, but many times it doesn't.
Right, it can be very lacking.
Right.
So speaking of Under the Rainbow, we just did a watch along a couple weeks ago. I think it was.
I was going to do that, and I didn't quite get a chance to.
Yeah, it was the night before Thanksgiving, so we understand there was stuff going on, and
150 little people, all just having It was the only thing that was being shot during that time. It was the big Hollywood was shut down during the 1980 strike, so everybody wanted to get on our movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it was a packed cast, and
yes.
The weird connection that I have to that movie is that the Culver Hotel was at the end of the street I lived on, Van Buren Place in Culver City. So they recreated that studio entrance area on the end of my block, and I still have somewhere the dashboard card for the show. That my mom got.
Oh, you got a show card.
Yeah, so that said she could come on, drive down the street when we wanted to go park, by the apartment.
That was fun.
So,
we had a whole run from the Culver Hotel into Culver Studios. One
Right.
day
Well,
they
that was
shut
the
down all the streets.
Culver Studios, right?
Yeah, Culver Studios at that time.
But it was the actual studios were like a block over.
Was MGM. Was
Well, no, that's the other direction. But yeah.
Right.
But it was a recreation of the older version of Culver Studios. But
Right.
so that part of that entranceway was leading right up to my apartment. When you see everybody going in and out of that space where I lived was just beyond the archway that said Culver Studios on it. And of course, you guys shot it during the summer, I believe, because I was out of town staying with my dad. And
we started in, I think, September, and we shot till February.
Oh, maybe it was okay. So maybe that was during a time when I was either staying with my dad or up there for Christmas or something. But ultimately, it came out. It happened where you guys, the stuff was being used, the area was being used, and all my friends. I have a photo that my mom took of all my friends that lived on the block, like on some period vehicle, because we would hang around on the set, but I wasn't there because I was off.
Oh, we had all these 1930s cars.
Yeah, exactly. Huh. So I unfortunately didn't get to experience that when it was being shot. I was at my dad's house in Eugene. So I have I missed out, but I also still, get to see it and be like, oh yeah, that's where I lived. And then Culver City gave Billy Barty the key to the city shortly after that movie came out. And so I went to that ceremony, which was actually they blocked off a street right next to the Culver Hotel.
Yeah.
Gave him the key, and then he was hanging out, doing his thing. And I walked up and was like, "Can I get your autograph?" And I have his autograph somewhere on some random, little notepad that I had when I was a kid.
That's nice.
He was very cool, yes. And I was very much sort of at the, what was that? It was 81 when that movie came out.
Yes, 81.
So I was 12. Good time to be sort of into anything Billy Barty did, let's say.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun. That's my weird connection to Under the Rainbow. And then I found out that you were in it, which is even better.
I'm swinging from the chandeliers.
Right.
Did you see my pratfall into the wall?
I believe we commented on that when it happened. We were looking out for the stunts, and that was definitely one of the more kind of memorable ones. But it's a fun movie. A lot of people that were watching along with us had not seen it, so they got to experience it.
I need to go rewatch that because I was obviously busy that evening. But
yeah,
I need to see what that was. So Kevin, here they're activating SM-33. How much of that droid is practical, and how much do they?
The practical of the droid was a big, huge that robot, and then Rob, last name slips me, but Robert was a puppeteer behind it, and so he actually was walking in it. I'm gonna try and get his name, the performance artist. And they didn't have a voice for him. It's many times it would be the director who did it,
and just saying the lines. We're in the scene where Jude is sort of rescuing SM-33 from the droid area, and he's talking to the other pirate, the Ishitib, who is Alfred Molina.
Yes,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
some great voice.
Alfred, well, he voiced it. There was another
right, of course, yeah. Usually that's the case, right?
Yeah,
but I mean, hearing him as a pirate was a lot of fun.
Well, it's really neat. And Alfred Molina's one of his first movies was Indiana Jones.
Right, so it's harkening back. I was watching a gaming stream yesterday, and they were playing an Indiana Jones game.
Yeah, Indiana Jones on the Great Circle, I believe is
right, and they have a digital version of Harrison, obviously, and then Alfred Molina's character now. So they go through that opening scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, it's a fun bit with that, and so it's neat that they bring him back for the voice of this, and so then people connect it back and forth and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's that more of that kind of multi-layered thing with the connections to the 80s. This is funny with the with him trying to fly back in that little transport vehicle.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Where
it's
getting-
and all that was we were in the thing and we're just kind of we
doing
can't
that
see anything. No.
that old school Star Trek kind of stuff where you're
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to the right.
exactly.
And to the left. And then we're back. And so but
Yeah,
it's,
this-
it's but
This is a fun
setting
scene,
that
too.
whole thing up and just trying to get into that that thing. So it's
I think they're really hitting the nostalgia with a lot of stuff because their main ship has a very Millennium Falcon style cockpit, or at least the front window.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah,
It's just like
a little
everything.
more
Like,
roomy.
oh, I've seen that. Oh, that's right back at the 70s.
They on the Screen Crush does the sort of Easter egg and wrap up of the episode, and they keep referring to the readout as being very Naboo style, like in the N1 Starfighter or the Queen ship. And that kind of harkens back to the idea that maybe this place has been sort of isolated for a time,
Right.
and
Well,
some of the technology they have might
what have
be.
you guys thought about why it's how that ship got there?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Well, I believe it's a complete accident that it got there. Like it to
crash
me-
landed.
Oh, okay, so
Yeah.
I'm going to contradict you and go, I think that this ship is like the Chester Cobblepot from Goonies. It's someone who was exploring and trying to find the treasure before and didn't quite make it through, and that's why it got stuck there. Like when the Goonies find the professional explorer guy in the tunnels, I think the ship
Right.
is that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's very, very close to
This
what
is
it could
crazy.
be. Yes.
I view Aden as Star Wars as Wakanda.
Mm.
Right. With that kind of hidden element and
With the barrier. So it's like it's there.
self-isolation thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like how the wolf guy calls.
Yes, that could be. Those are good clues. We will find out as the show goes on. Have we run into the next planet yet?
We're on the way.
No,
We're
they just left the port,
Yeah.
and they did the whole thing with getting off of the fuel line. So now they just revived SM-33, and they're talking to him
Shmi?
on their exactly Shmi. That's the other thing is that these connections to Hook or Peter Pan.
Or
David Lowry did Peter Pan with Jude Law.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
those weird connections. That's so trippy.
Yes,
I love this whole thing where he's somehow made himself a meal, and they're all just sort of
Right.
focused on that at the moment.
Yeah,
you got to think they're kids and
they're from an idealized planet. They don't know where this comes from. They've got droids coming along.
We're trying to figure out how many days have they been gone.
Right,
Yeah.
that's true too. Have they eaten regularly since they left?
Yeah.
No. Obviously, they are hungry.
They were going to eat there, and the food looked horrible.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And they were
Neil was hungry then.
Yeah. And then they got put in the brig. So yeah, it's been a bit.
It's been bow bow bow. We go hungry.
A rubber biscuit.
Yeah.
Jude Law's character, like the way he doesn't have respect for droids, reminds me of how Mando was in season.
At first, he
season
didn't trust him.
Right.
Yeah.
Or anyone that was around in the OT at the time of the Clone Wars.
That'd be prequel trilogy, but I get like Han vibes where he's like, shut that guy up kind of thing.
Right, exactly. So there is a definite racist factor to not liking droids.
It's sort of elitist or classist kind of thing.
They are, even Harry Potter-esque. You have a house elf.
Oh, right.
And you have the witches and warlocks.
Right.
Yeah. Notman's talking here is like, why is At-Atten not recognized as being a real planet? I mean, we've theorized on the unifying force is it's the real life version of it's Shangri-La, it's El Dorado, it's the lost city of gold.
And
these are all good clues.
They kind of doesn't.
These are all really good clues, and
doesn't Alcat Kim kind of vibe on that as well? Like, sort of say like your home is sort of what people consider like a fairy tale or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Very much so. We're about ready to find that out in this episode of what's going on with the of Kim.
the 5 or the 6.
What is
like
that?
9 planets.
Yeah.
We also remember in the sequels of Star Wars, here Luke was on a planet that they didn't know where that was.
Yeah,
right.
Or as it has been erased from the archives.
That's what I kept kind of alluding to. Was that something else Dooku got his fingers in the archives and erased maybe accidentally when he did a keystroke to get rid of Geonosis?
I think the credits that they're carrying
Akbar saying it's a trap and whoops.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe
they're set up.
Maybe
I love that right there.
Geb forgetting to do something. You just never know what happened there. But the thing is, they don't know how to get back home.
Well, yeah, they don't know where they came from. And they've done multiple hyperspace jumps since then. So that means they, at this point, could be extremely far away.
Anywhere. Think of how long it takes to get to, Oxnard.
That's the entire plot of Sliders.
Oh yeah, jumping around.
So it's a fun thing. It's kind of a lot of the pirates are saying, I've heard of this place, like you said, Shangri-La. What is this place? Where these guys are looking at going,
fairy tale.
It's it's Burbank. It's
Glendale. That's what I mean. That's kind of what it looks like.
There's nothing here. It's Glendale.
What I appreciate go ahead, Jeff.
No, go for it.
I was just saying, like, when you're looking at the background, Jude Law there, and you see the windows, very much like you would see on an actual pirate ship, right, where the captain's quarters are, those style windows
in that part of the ship. Just,
those little details mean so much.
Right. They really. That's one of those things of, I think they're big Goonies fans. They're big Amblin fans. And, back in the day, George and Stephen and who did Godfather?
Coppola?
No. Well, Coppola actually produced both American Graffiti and Star Wars. So he was the one that got the idea and said, why don't we just scroll it? We'll just have it this. You start with episode 4, so we just get right into the meat. Because if you do it with episode 1, you're going to lose them. Nobody gets it.
Right. The whole intro
coming in with that battle and the ships and all that, boom, we get right into it.
Yeah, there's the fun. They're on the new the asteroid moon planet as they're walking across the lunar scape or whatever.
Yeah, that wide shot of them sort of traveling across frame.
Oh, I love that. That was a heck of a time trying to get up on that set too, because it's dirt. You're trying to get up there to light it, and it's and then you've got you're trying to stand in the right positions so you don't slide down the hill. It was much, and that was in the volume, and we just had it wide open, and then the next time you come into the volume, it's somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's neat about
that's the beauty of the volume, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it's just really neat that you're going into the old planetarium laser shows. That's what this kind of looked like when we walked in there with this.
And here's the character that's there next
flock
to
of children. That line is foreshadowing what you're about to see.
Well, that's the thing too, is what I was talking about before, where the Wolfman calls them pups.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, their own vernacular.
Exactly.
This is great. I love this, and I love that there's ultimately 3 of these eyeballs pointing at him.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like
here's
we're gonna-
another take too is Matt was talking about how the owl in the observatory.
That was Mike Cena and his
His
puppeteering doing that one.
yeah,
He had a robot and another one. It's
I think he posted something about like how many droids he's manipulated and or worked on in this show earlier today. Actually,
Yeah.
Well, see, that's what you never even thought of. Is it never even occurred to me that the little, like Sentry eyeballs, somebody's got to be puppeting that. It's,
Oh yeah.
But yeah, seeing the owl in the observatory reminds me of the never-ending story, the old man Stargazer helping them get past the Sphinx. So that's yet another throwback.
80s movie.
Yep.
Like what I really hope in this is I really hope I know this is making us feel like children and we're enjoying it. I hope actual children are enjoying this.
I've heard that, and I've always tried to push that. Watch this show for your kids, and like even my family says, "Oh, Star Wars is too violent." And I'm like, okay, all right.
Yet you're letting these children watch Deadpool.
Right.
It's a great reveal.
My daughter's 7, Kevin. So the Acolyte for her was a little too dark. The tone and everything like that. We always watch these shows and we sit down as a family and watch them, except this one. Yeah. She's on it before we are. Like she's firing up D+. She's in this. I couldn't be any happier that she's just absolutely enthralled with this show.
Well, like the Kim character here, the owl, was they've made it a little bit better. That's basically what it looked like the whole time. They've CGI'd the face a little bit better for the eyes and things like that.
But they had a practical puppet.
But it was a practical puppet that we had doing that.
Oh, that's cool.
Like with that practical, the practical Neil right there is that's all Casey Barrowman right there, walking like that. That's Casey. Okay. Where they would do a scene or the scene with Neil with the cameras on him.
Right.
Do a few of that when you got the reactions that you wanted with Neil, then Casey would come in, and then sometimes they would just push Casey in, and so then I'd have to go in there and say, Casey, did they tell you about this step down and over here, and then you got to walk about 3 steps
can't see.
and turn. No, she can't see anything. She can't see anything.
Well, and know to look out for that.
Right, exactly.
You've gone through that the hard way.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, I'm just an Ewok. I'm Chukatrak walking through the forest. Thump.
Whoops,
there was through there.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, riding a horse with a freaking Ewok outfit on.
Right.
Yeah.
What really gets me with Kim is you see that she has that device that Lobot has attached to her. But she also gives out Count Dooku vibes with the cloak and the outfit. Like I feel like it feels very Count Dooku. If you really look at how she's
the Lobot thing a lot with this because the little girl has kind of the Lobot deal going.
Right. KB
has the Lobot deal going.
Yeah, but KB's is different because remember at the beginning of the episode, they say they lost her life signal, which has got to be tied to that. So there's a medical reason.
Eric talked about that. Eric talked about that in one of his
throwbacks. And he goes, "I'm alive." It's like, dude, I'm sorry, you're dead. The Ewok thing, the lights went out. You're dead. I'm sorry. Get over it.
Is that reminiscent of whether or not
you're dead?
Right. Is that sort of reminiscent of whether or not
tough,
whether or not Cad Bane was
Eric.
dead?
I really do. I love you, but get over it.
Right. Move along.
No one is ever really gone, Kevin.
That's true.
Somehow
he wants to be the Obi-Wan ghost. I want to be the Obi-Wan ghost too.
There you
go.
That would be hilarious. It's like,
I love how she breaks down this symbol.
Talked right over the key plot point of all the sacred planets and
there
all
it is.
been destroyed and
the actual physical map thing I really thought was a fun kind of to make it more piratey, to make it more like super old.
I expected a hole to be in the middle of it, like like from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, we've got a comment
ripped away.
Here.
Yeah, maybe.
These
are all
Troy's
things
talking
that,
about. Go ahead, Kevin.
These
yes.
are all these clues that we're only in episode 3. We got 5 more to go.
Right.
And so it's fun because it's that
just the surface.
It's the same thing of that. What will happen next week? An exciting chapter of Skeleton Crew.
Oh yeah,
we don't know.
Serial
it's
vibe
of a movie serial, the way George intended this to the originals to be.
And these guys really, I think, paid homage to that.
Yeah.
And of also, who is Jod? Is Jod good? Is Jod bad? We're just finding this out.
Well,
now
we're talking about it, and Troy's talking about is a comic book throwback to Crimson Jack. So, Bryce, you're the comic book dude. Did you know Crimson Jack before this?
So, Crimson Jack was an antagonist, I believe, showed up in issue 7 of the original Star Wars comic. But Crimson Jack was also brought back in the Halcyon limited edition comics too. So Crimson Jack is canon. Before we hear it here, Crimson Jack came back in the Halcyon miniseries.
But I believe this guy's different. I think they use the same names.
Right.
Like,
correct.
Red
like
Pirate Roberts.
That's the impression that I'm getting, is that he's pretending or has pretended in the past to be Crimson Jack, but may not.
He's also Captain Silvo too, and
who is this guy?
Yeah, he's got a lot of aliases,
which is a fun as we start realizing this too. We really don't know if he's does he have a heart? What I loved about him was that he was great with the kids because he has 6 kids himself. He's got 20-year-olds. He's got a baby, so he's got them spread out along that whole universe. So he was really good about talking to them as kids, but also talking to them as adults of that. And so that was a really neat bond that he had with the kids.
That's cool. I love these
X-Wings. Was just born right before Celebration last year.
Yeah.
I think March of 2023.
So Nauman's got another question here. It's like, do you think we need to go back to the basics with storylines and screenplays for future Star Wars? I mean, this kind of is doing this because this is a very classic trope pirate story.
Right.
And do we need to do that? Or has the other projects that have been kind of pie in the sky and can't get a storyline written or whatever, is it because they're trying to do something new and out there and reinvent the wheel, or just do this? And
I don't think we need any more Death Stars.
Yeah, it kind of played that out.
There's so many different storylines of
Tatooine is the center of the universe, Dave.
Yeah. Basically, you can look at it too this way: is what is Jod after?
Right. What's his motivation?
What is his motivation? There's 2 things in this whole series.
Right.
Jod is after money.
Yeah. That's been
the
his
kids
motivator.
are after, I want to go home. Much like Wizard of Oz. Storyline was the evil witch wanted the power of the slippers.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Dorothy just wanted to get home.
Yeah.
This is a fun little chase scene.
Right. Now, what era, you car gurus, what era are the X-Wing fighters?
So, I mean, the X-Wing fighters, I know that the helmets are a new helmet we haven't seen before, the one that we've been in there. That's a new paint. So, are these New Republic X-Wings? Are they classics?
Well, this is after Jedi.
I think these are New Republic Rangers.
I think the assumption was this fell somewhere in the similar time frame as Mandalorian.
Something like that, yeah.
So,
Vane kind of ties into that, right?
So I think that pushes it directly to be right around then, yeah.
Right.
Like
he was
season
3
of
Mandalorian.
Right.
Okay, this is the best. When Wim goes up into the gunner's seat.
Yes.
He's just like ready. It's like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for.
His enthusiasm.
It was fun.
Out of the kids, my favorite, and I know if you poll everybody, you're going to get KB and Neil as 1 and 2. But I love Wim. I think Wim's unbridled enthusiasm and
Ooh.
yes, he's gullible, but man, he believes in the
So
Jedi.
those X-wings actually look more like original trilogy X-wings than
Yeah, I
they
didn't
do
see
like
the.
than they do like Poe's, for instance, in the
Right.
sequel trilogy.
But they're not that. So it's basically maybe they've got
Some sort of
they've said
interim.
the New Republic has sold these to this planet for their protection.
Aha. It's like a
Much like selling old stuff to a third world country.
right,
'cause
yeah, older
this planet
weaponry
looks
or
like,
something.
yeah,
They're
Yeah, I guess it'd be kind of like in Rebels when we see some of those mining colonies using TIE fighters
right,
that are painted
Mhm.
yellow. So yeah, I
right.
totally understand. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Is anybody else disappointed? This is the only disappointment that Carson Teva was not the guy.
yeah, I
that worked
wanted
on
to
it.
be Paul.
I was hoping for one of maybe 3 different pilots.
Right? Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
And there we
So-
are. Excellent
Yeah.
episode. Great
and I
work.
love how they leave the episode, and then the next episode picks up right where it
Mhm.
leaves off.
Yeah, that's
so
It's
really
very
it's fun.
serial-esque for
doing
sure.
great
Right,
with,
and-
with the pacing here and where they're cutting. It's not like some of the previous shows that they've just like cut at a random spot. This is
Yeah.
very
Right.
purposeful.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were getting that vibe
yes.
from Acolyte specifically that
Right.
it seemed like it should have left off at a later point or an earlier point, and
I was
they
trying
Right.
decided,
to-
This
okay.
is going. This is
I'm pointing
basically
fingers.
as you turn the page in a book, we're going right there,
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
which is really fun with that type of thing. And you get what's so fun about this is the directors all and the writers were all fans of the original trilogy, and they felt very not only honored to be directing these things, but also a sense of importance and needing to stay to, for the fans themselves. You do have the haters, but it's like, dude, try and remember you're 8 years old and you're 12 years old. And I remember watching, going to a recreation of Roger Waters and The Wall. And my son went and he goes, "Oh, yeah, Pink Floyd, what's all this?" And I'm like, I had gone in 1980 when it first came out.
Mhm.
And so this was my second time with Pink Floyd and the whole world tour, and only played in 3 towns, London, New York, and LA. And I was sitting next to people from Australia who had
Right.
come out. And so on this one, we were at the sports arena and we had some cool seats, and it's just I'm looking around and I know what's coming because I've been there already.
Right.
And it's
Right.
like, all right, Roger, you're doing. And in the very first scene, I didn't watch the band. I watched my son. And he was just like, the airplane goes flying across the stage.
That was the Coliseum,
and
wasn't
takes
it?
off it was at the sports arena.
Oh,
Where
really?
It was originally where I watched it in 1980.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it was like, and his face was just like, and I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
My son is hooked to Pink Floyd, and it's
Captured it.
just, and it's that's what people who aren't enjoying this series, start watching it with a kid, and don't watch the show, watch the kid.
Right.
And see how, like as you were saying, Bryce, you're watching with your 7-year-old, and she's getting into it, and that's what people really need to capture. And they're doing a great job. It's not a kids show per se, because later on we're going to find our team is in some very very precarious situations, and it's not. We're not talking Care Bears here.
Right.
Right.
This
And
is
we don't
not
know
the
if-
Young Jedi Adventures. It's
No,
Yeah.
we don't know if all if all 4 make it through. Because it something could happen to any one of the 5 characters.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And in this,
6 with the robot, yeah.
right, in the whole scuffle when they were trying to get out of the port originally, there's some vicious stuff going on. SM-33's got some.
Oh, he went.
His
Postal.
like his like shield things were getting
Yeah.
hot, and he was burning people with them, and he's getting brutal. So
that brings up the question too: is like, what is he made out of? It's is it it's
he's a battle droid. He's a battle. What was that from Andor? Was that Andor that we had that battle robot that basically dies?
Oh.
No.
Oh, you mean K2SO?
K2SO?
Yeah.
He's very similar. I get very much vibe that style droid.
That's what I always thought of him as.
Yeah, he's like a modified version of one of those droids, kind of.
Right.
He's very, very reminiscent in a lot of his physicality. But I love how he's the hunched over pirate until shit goes down. Excuse my French, and then he extends and is ready to throw down.
He's got a peg leg. He's missing a
foot.
I saw that. Mm-hmm.
You got a really good shot of that when they were boarding that
for
ship.
Robert to move with that, he had to, because he's in a slave unit behind it.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yeah,
it's a slave unit right behind it, and so they moved that, and he's all in green, so you can't see him.
That's similar to how they did the naked C-3PO in Episode 1, where they had a lot of the shots of C-3PO where somebody manipulating him from behind. I have photos from Celebration 1 of the maquette, the puppet, whatever you want to call it, the life-size C-3PO with like handles and stuff sticking out of his back that are colored green for that specific purpose.
Isn't that what Dom was talking about? How they did Huyang in Ahsoka? Is the practical parts of Huyang is they were had him on rods behind him.
I think that was more of a mixture, yeah.
The same thing with the BB-8 too.
Oh yeah, he was on a sled, kind of not a sled, but like on a handle type thing. And I remember meeting the guy who manipulated BB-8 at Celebration.
Brian Herring.
Brian Herring, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah. But I remember him being around Celebration and being like the guy who pushed around BB-8.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, puppeteer. And we had quite a few different puppeteers from Legacy. They've also worked with Henson, and we had the best in the business working on that.
Nice. It shows. It's definitely it's got that. It's got and it's so many Easter eggs and so many nuanced things that most people won't pick up on, but it adds to it. So that's all that really matters ultimately.
Right. Now you have to watch it again to sit there and see what Easter eggs you're catching, and
watch it a couple times just for the background kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. What's going on there? Things like
and
that.
Then what scene is this reminiscent of what movie, and what is this kind of throwing back to, like the whole trying to get the key with the little rat thing, and it's sort of similar to the Pirates of the Caribbean with the dog having the key or whatever, that kind of stuff. And and like that wide shot of them walking in front of the planet was very sort of E.T. I think there's a scene where
we have one in Space Invaders like that too.
Right.
And in fact, John Knoll did the opening sequence of all those ships and things, and as a favor to Patrick Johnson for that one.
Nice.
Patrick Johnson also did 5/25/77.
Oh right, yeah. I don't know if I saw that, but I remember when it came out.
So, Kevin, have you heard from any of the cast of the show? Have you heard, since this is debuted, from the kids? Are they getting their kudos for this, or have you heard from or about? Like, are they getting credit for this being as good as it is, or people?
I haven't heard from them in that say. I hope they are. I know that's I did tell them to go out before this goes on to remember that you're a child.
Oh yeah,
go to Disneyland.
Your last moments of anonymity.
Exactly.
Go to the beach. Go to all these different places as just you, and remember you did this, because I remember the cast of Malcolm in Middle did that. We all went to Magic Mountain.
Oh, nice.
And they were just all of them were just kids playing that, and then all of a sudden, bam! It just, you know, it
and
was.
Now Frankie's a professional race car driver.
Yeah, yes, and let's see, Dewey he works at his dad's Mexican restaurant in Connecticut.
Oh wow!
He kind of just gave it all up. He was going to USC.
Yeah, that was pretty much all the acting he did, isn't that?
He's done a couple of other movies.
Okay.
He did Christmas with the Cranks, where I worked with him on, and then he did another couple of things. And then Reese is basically, he invests his money very well, and he actually is a silent partner in a lot of different movies.
Is that Jason?
Jason, yeah. And he just and I don't know what the oldest brother is. And then, you know, Brian just blew up.
Oh yeah, Brian went ballistic with
he's just completely, and you know, his worst day of his life became the next week was his best day of his life. Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do now? Hello? What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, let's give it a try and see what happens. And then that show.
He was the only guy. He was the only guy. So you just never know. That's the thing about Hollywood. You just never know. You know of what's going to happen. Or what's around the next door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so and this one, we don't know what's going to happen.
No,
exciting
and
chapter.
Want to.
We have no idea.
There have been series that I'm like, okay, yeah, I can wait till the next week. Okay, it's not a big deal.
Right.
Okay, whatever. I'll find out eventually. A lot of the Marvel stuff lately is like, halfway through episode 3, I'm like, I'll pick this back up later. No, this I want to know every week, and I'm ready for it.
And I've been disappointed that they moved the premiere up to Monday, and then they kept the original schedule of Tuesdays. I'm like, they made me wait an extra day this week.
That's true. That is true.
Those guys know what they're doing.
Right.
You know, what they want is us to all stand in line at the TV and saying, it's on.
Yeah.
It's appointment television. This is totally old school when everybody wants to sit down at the same time when it drops at 6 and 9 p.m., depending on where you are in the country or whatever.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Focus on that and take it in, and then we all meet back up on Zoom afterwards and discuss.
Right. Yep. What the heck did we just watch?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, they're really into, and it's all in fun. It's not like they're trying to, Disney's trying to sell all the different little puppets and things like that. But the storyline is where are they going now? We have no idea where they're going now.
They keep us wanting more.
Very true. Yep.
And what's neat is we're seeing other planets besides Tatooine. We've seen Tatooine how many times?
Oh yeah,
that's what
not enough. Not enough.
Don't do that again.
We're seeing other planets.
Yeah, we need to be. I mean, considering this galaxy is so vast.
When you look out the sky, there's they said 100,000 planets out there in this one, and I think it was Wim that said 100,000 planets.
I think they said that at 1,000 planets when Kim said that the first time. They were incredulous at there's 1,000.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Well, living planets. There's 100,000 planets out there, right?
But
so, we've got 9 here.
Right.
It all depends on if you're counting Pluto.
Poor Pluto.
Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you do again.
Yeah, it all depends on who's the racist planet.
There we go. We need more.
I agree, Jonathan.
Is underrated.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, it is. Right. I think it's fun. Is basically, I think it goes back to what we were talking about before. It goes really back to the movie serial of what's Flash Gordon going to do next.
How's he going to get himself out of this predicament he's gotten himself?
Right, exactly.
What's the next move to try to get home?
Right.
How is Jack or Jod gonna, try to, either help or hinder their progress, you know, that kind of thing.
What is Neil and Wim gonna do to screw everything up by just being kids?
Exactly.
I mean,
and you believe it. You believe that he sees the blinking light and it's like,
I need to press it.
Oh yeah.
I just
well, I
do
think
it.
that wasn't even Neil. That was
Like,
Wim. Wim is like,
yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's
Neil
weird,
was ready to jump in the driver's seat when given the opportunity, and then being like, wait, should I be the driver? That was fun.
I'm
Great
the
episode.
captain. You're not the captain.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm the captain.
Claimsies.
Right, exactly.
oh,
Which goes back to just
that was
being
a
a
really good kid thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's a kid thing to do. It's not, you're not making something up. You're like, I did that. I did that. You know.
Yeah.
So,
lots of great
and
stuff. We look forward to the next few episodes for sure. So
good. Who do you have coming in next week?
Oh, good segue. See, Kevin's doing our job for us.
I've been in this business. It's not my first rodeo. Not even on your show.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably your. How many times have I been on this show?
Oh, it's almost too many to count at this point.
I've lost count.
But coming up next week, we have a stuntman who you probably are familiar with, Ardashir Radpour.
Right.
So he'll be on talking about his, contribution, and should be another excellent episode.
Yeah, my son went to UCLA. He's USC.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Southern California rivalry.
No, yeah, he was Tommy Trojan.
Oh, he was the actual
He was Tommy Trojan. Talk to him about his horse. Yeah.
That's a good one.
See, this is the correct answer right here. You have not been on enough.
There we go.
Kevin. That's how many times you've been not enough.
Clarify. Exactly.
All right.
I was
now
so happy when Spencer reached out.
If I do not ask you this question, it's like, okay, if you could invite 3 people from the movie industry to dinner, who would they be and why? 3 people from the movie industry.
Oh, wow. Frank Capra, which would be really fun.
Wonderful Life. Yeah.
George, be fun. And somebody new. Wow, that's interesting. Another one. Trying to think of somebody just in the new era now of seeing how things are. Somebody like even like one of the directors that we've had, John Watts of that would be fun, because you've got those 3 different eras and they all learn from each other. Whereas a lot of things, George, a lot of his criticism of Star Wars, everybody goes, well, that's out of this movie and that's out of this movie, and you just took this scene and chose it, but he did it well. He did it.
He emulated things in a manner that felt new and looked different, and made it fun for everybody. So
I'd probably also like to find out a lot more of, like, when I talked with all the little people actors of I'm the bridge from the new people into the old guys. I knew Billy Barty. I knew Jerry Marin, who was the last Munchkin to pass on. I knew a lot, Felix Silla, who I was really good friends with Felix, who was not only cousin It, but he came over from Italy, from the circus, and he never lost the Italian accent. He always had that. He always had that look. And a lot of times you get him a little bit of tipsy or mad, you couldn't understand a word he said, but he was just
deep into the
neck. You're just laughing at him, and he's getting madder because you can't understand him. But he had great stories of what it was like back then in the 50s, the 60s, of just what Hollywood and life was like in LA. And so it's a neat thing. My grandfather's cousin was Leo Carrillo, and I never met him. He died when I was 2, but Leo Carrillo was Pancho in Cisco Kid, and he did 100 other movies. But he was a Spanish actor, so he lived in that kind of racist time. But he did very well, and he gave back to California. One of his beaches that he gave back to California, Leo Carrillo Beach, has been one of the most used movie sets of in Hollywood. And it was like, could you just given it to Grandpa?
Yeah,
You know, it would have been so much nicer.
At the
Did
Pacific.
you have to give it to the state? You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Grandpa,
what makes.
why didn't you know Leo better? You know?
But that makes it nice that it's, you know, kind of a protected
everybody
space
can
or whatever.
Everybody
yeah, exactly. Very cool. Well, we appreciate your time, Kevin. It's been a lot of
absolutely.
Well, a lot of fun, and bring them up. If you don't have a guest, give me a call. See what I'm doing.
We will. Definitely.
All right. Always good to see you guys. Hope to have dinner with you three.
Sometime. Oh, see,
there it is.
That happened, yeah.
Yep, taking you up on that, Kevin. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Love to. Hopefully, I'm doing a Comic-Con in your backyard or something, and we can just, that's what I've been. I've been trying to do that with them down in Florida now. Trying to do that, but always
you
look
get out
forward
here
to
the East Coast, and we will run up or down the East Coast to try and make that happen. I want.
Sounds fun.
I'll definitely try to connect with you at the next show I see you're going to be at. So
I know where Tracy's cousin is getting married in Virginia sometime in the spring. So I'm hoping to do like a Comic-Con or signing out there while I'm out there, both Tracy and I. And
that'll be perfect. That's just a couple hours from me. That's close. Yeah. So find something.
Yeah. So that would be fun. That's the only time that I'm right now, people. So I'm trying to do that, get out there and do something. So, or just run up and down and see the sights type of thing. Because, hey, I am retired.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a working retired, but yeah, I did my 44 years in this business.
Wow.
It's really cool that you're doing that and finding what I would have thought, and maybe you've done it before, is like different ways to be in the business. I would not have thought of going and being your dialogue coaching and that being a thing that you would transition to, or you would pick.
I've been doing Tracy and I have been doing that 4 years. We did that on Malcolm in the Middle. We did that way back on Growing Pains.
Wow.
We've been doing that. That was my side job. Besides acting, we've been doing that on all sorts of different things. Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Parenthood, About a Boy. Oh, gosh. All different kids. I've worked with the director of Fantastic Four, Matt Shackman. I worked with on an offshoot of Growing Pains called Just the 10 of Us.
Oh yeah,
I love that show.
And he was that was a executive call. We were winning the time slot, and I knew Matt was one of those kids who was going to go on to do great things, because he'd sit there and he'd go to the producer and say, "Last week you had me doing this, and I was doing this type of thing," and I said it was funny, and we did that. But this week, you have me in a completely different thing. And so I'm just trying to get my character arch through the season, and you have me going back and forth. So what you want me to do is just be the Joker. I come in, I say that joke, and then I'm out? Or do we have like a character arc going for my character? And the producer's looking at him going, how old are you? So this is he used that same. He went to that same producer when he had graduated high school and said, "Can you write me a letter of recommendation to Yale School of Drama?"
Woo.
And so that producer, realizing that, hey, he's got a kid with a brain on his head, used that. He was the head of the Geffen Playhouse. He was the artistic director there. He's now in London, but I'm really looking forward to Fantastic Four, and because he's done quite a bit of TV out there. He did WandaVision.
Nice.
He was the director. He directed every episode of WandaVision.
Oh wow!
And so he's someone to is a fun. He knows comedy, but he knows drama. He also did in Game of Thrones. He did Battle of the Bastards. So action. So he's had a great career. Matt, if you're watching, I'm available. Next project.
Let's get Kevin some more work.
Exactly. Baby needs new shoes. Heck, Tracy needs new shoes.
Of course.
We need more stories.
Say hi to Tracy for us for sure.
I will do. It's always great to see you guys.
So we're gonna wrap it up here and thank everybody who was watching.
Thank you for watching.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Enjoy Japan. Wyatt just got back from Japan. He did a solo trip to Japan, and so he had a grand old time. And we did Japan when he was 8 months old. He did a commercial for Sega, the game system. Sega. And Tracy cruised around. It's a very safe country. Tracy cruised around with Wyatt at 8 months old, didn't know a lick of Japanese. And they all helped her, and it was fun. They would look at Tracy, and they'd look at the baby, and Wyatt's a good-sized kid.
Yeah, he is.
You go, he got to be big. And then she's like, yes. And he goes, and then they're looking at the child, they're going, he's going to be big.
He is big. What is he, 6'5" or something?
6'4".
6'4",
yeah. But it was a very lovely, for everybody who is going to Japan, have a great time. If I don't talk to you before then, it's a wonderful place to go. And they enjoy practicing their English on American tourists.
Nice. Well, it should be fun times. And do we have anything else we need to talk about, gents?
I think those are the things, of course. Of course, we're talking about Japan now. And if you are going to be in Japan, where do you need to be?
Of course.
The Not So Virtual Cantina Special Edition, right? Thursday, April 17th. Again, our tradition the night before celebration is we will be at the Hub, and I'm not even going to try and say that name.
That's a long word.
But we will be there, and there will be all sorts of shenanigans, karaoke, meet and greets, and sabak sponsored by our friends at Hyperspace Props. All sorts of things, teaching. If you don't know how to play sabak, come learn how to play sabak. If you know how to play sabak, prove it.
Yeah, there you go. Put your money or your credits where your mouth is, as it were.
That's right.
I'm getting plenty of practice on sabak and Star Wars Outlaws because that's a game that you can just sit and play for hours.
See how I segue you guys?
I know.
You set them up and we knock them down.
Kevin needs the new job. It's keeping us in line. And
I'm not even on a script. I'm just saying it going, we haven't talked about Japan yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I look forward to Japan. I've never been, and I've always wanted to go. And having a celebration there just gives me more incentive to go. So, and I was also
a shorter flight for you.
Disappointed that I didn't get to London, but I was like, well, they're doing another out of the country one. I got to hit this one.
You got to go.
It'll be a celebration 11 for me. So
yeah, you and Dave were missed in London.
So
appreciate that.
That was a lot of fun.
See what happens with Japan. But again, thank you for joining us, Kevin, and thank everybody.
Yes, absolutely.
All righty, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Kevin.
Saint New Year.
Have a great holiday season, as it were. And may the force be with you all.
And
may
with
the
you.
force be with you.
Always.